We're coming together, hear the call, you are invited. We come from the same source, a powerful love force.
Good evening, everybody, and happy 2024. I'm Love Coach Scott Katamas, and I love Saturday nights because it's when I get to host The Awakening World. And our Saturday night edition is always filled with some amazing luminaries. And tonight, we've got two of our favorite guys, not one, but two. We've got AJ and Thomas, and they are, of course, intuitive channels and great guys. We always enjoy having you. What's your initial thoughts about the new year, guys?
This is going to be an exciting year. We think this is going to be quite an exciting year. So excited to see. Exciting is not always easy.
Roller
Exciting
coasters are exciting.
turbulence is exciting.
Sure.
So I do think we're in for some tumbles, but approaching it as an adventure is the answer.
And we're so looking forward to this evening. As always, we've invited our guides in. They're always whispering in our ear, and they're going to be providing some magical insight in sharing with you tonight.
Of course, I'm so excited to be introducing AJ and Tom, speaking from Source. These guys are the most amazing intuitive channels that simultaneously channel from the mind of Source, and they bring through these incredible messages from the guides for all of us. And AJ and Tom have a beautiful show on Soul Search TV, which it's the Infinite Pathways Journey to Self-Realization. And what I love is just the power of the message. Each time, you're bringing through a powerful message, starting with "We are eternal."
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And talk about, new beginnings. I think that the guides were just reminding us then, we were commenting about the energy of the show tonight and the power of everyone that's with us and this awakening that's coming forward. And they reminded us to take a breath because, with every breath is a new opportunity for a new beginning and an allowing and assimilation of all of that energy as well. So I'm wondering if you'd like to take 3 breaths with us, you and your audience and everyone together, just to allow in that new beginning and all of those wonderful energies to assimilate that within our very core. So we'll take a nice big breath in, hold and release. Oh. Breath in again. Hold and release. Oh. New breath in. Hold and release. Oh my goodness. The guides remind us of that often because it always returns us to our center. It always allows for grounding for us. And it's interesting because, I don't know if you can feel this. I'm sure you can. And I'm sure everyone actually watching and listening to this right now can feel the bursting forward, the seed of consciousness in each and every one of us that is bursting forward right now, which is why we needed to take that breath, because we literally are holding all of this energy and it's just starting to emerge. It's just starting to burst forward now in this wonderful consciousness that is the new year of 2024. So it really is just amazing what's bursting forward and finding that light within you and expanding that light. And what's interesting is, when you have the new seed of consciousness, this new awakening that we're all starting to come to an awareness of now, who are we as eternal beings? What are we doing on this earth? What is, my mission and my legacy and the meaning of the events and the circumstances that are around us? And, with every new sprout that bursts forward, with every new light of consciousness that comes forward, it needs that nurturing. It needs that guidance. It needs that unconditional love. And that is there for you with source consciousness. That is there for you when you connect with your higher self, when you align with your chakras, and when you connect with your guides and your light.
What's interesting is the other image that we get quite often is a reminder of the ancient circle, because as we think about all of our reality as a circle, there is always a beginning and always a middle and always an end. And so when we think about where we are spiritually, there are some things that are germinating for us. There are some things that are just starting to sprout. And there are other things that are already starting to bloom, while other pieces are beginning their retreat and then turning into their recreation. That beautiful circle. So whenever we say new, we have to remember that there's always a new, while there's always a beginning when there's always an ending. And we love that image, and why that breath we think is so very important.
And I'm sure, I mean, I'm really looking forward, both Tom and I, answering the questions tonight in the roundtable and engaging with you all to see if you're experiencing that energy within you, that bursting forward of the light, but also the idea where some things are maybe falling away and they're naturally falling away, and it's okay to let them go, because, you know, when you have closed hands, you've got to open your hands to receive.
You know, the guides say it often. They say that every ending is really a beginning. And so we have to think always about what we're making room for the new to come in, what needs to be released, we need to let go.
And, you know, the power of that with our show is that, you know, the guides are so practical. They have this foundation for us that they lay out in each and every episode. The first one is about your eternal trajectory and who you are as a soul. And they lay out these principles so beautifully in their sharing and in their messages. And then we tie it all together with some amazing daily practices to really bring it in to your life and what's going on for you right now.
But it is important to sort of realize that's really what the infinite pathway, and we call it journey to self-realization, because that's the journey, that the infinite pathway really is a series of understandings, and our consciousness is an awareness of what is. And what's fascinating is how what we've learned in our journey with the guides has been how often we have misperceived some of those principles, right? Our human systems operate with lots of judgment and self-judgment and, you know, all that other stuff that is not how the universe operates.
Yeah.
So it's so great to be able to channel the guides and then look across the collection that we've gathered over the years to be able to present these by principle, so that there's a blueprint for the ways we can live a life of joy. That's the whole point.
Yes, and it's there for you, you know, and particularly at this time of awakening, as you make those connections for yourself. You know, this is all about you, you know, as you go on this journey and your journey of self-realization, self-discovery, and self-awareness.
Beautiful, AJ and Tom. We just love how you all are bringing forth these messages also with such humor and fun, which I think is
they're
really
funny.
Exactly.
They're funny. We just relate it, but they're very funny.
Yeah.
I think that's great to bring that lightheartedness, you know, so people watching can see that, yes, you know, we are talking about, you know, our eternal beings, you know, and what does that mean for us? How does our consciousness and awareness shift when we really start feeling and understanding that in any way we can, the confines of our mind, but then to do that with the humor and grace and the unconditional love and support of the guides is just such a wonderful way for people to be on this journey with both of you.
And that's really a new beginning for our understanding as well. You know, we've thought in the past that we had to earn the love of Source or earn the love of others to be worthy, to do good deeds, to be able to reach some place in heaven, or, you know, to eliminate past karma or anything like that. And the guides put an amazing new perspective to enable us to see through new lenses of who we are, that we're not separated from the unconditional love of Source, that our guides are there ready and willing to answer questions. And they do it with such fun, such disarming fun. You know, we were doing a channeling together the other day in one of our private sessions for a client, and the extraterrestrial being was presenting itself and coming forward in that sense. And it's funny because I was in trance, and we were just communicating the messages there. But in my mind's eye, I had this image of an extraterrestrial being, and it was the first time it ever happened. The extraterrestrial being was wearing these sunglasses. And it was so funny to me because I've never seen an image like that. And it kind of was cracking me up, and it was almost took me out of the trance. You know, it was so funny, but they were aligning with the energy of the person that we were reading, and they presented themselves that way. And then we were able to discuss it in the debrief afterwards. It was just hysterical how they present themselves sometimes.
So I've got a chicken or the egg question for you then. Do your guides use a lot of lightness and humor because that's the nature of who you both are?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Does it
Well,
make
you know,
sense?
I'd like to answer that. I mean, the answer is in part yes, but you know, when you think about when you look at being lighthearted, when you look at that aspect, it's just a higher, finer vibration. And when you operate in a higher, finer vibration, like love, for example, you're more open to receiving, and you're more open to seeing things for what they are. You know, sometimes when you're too close to a situation, you can't see it for the true reality of what it is. And it's because you're holding on. You're holding on to that density, and you're very serious about it. This is a very serious event in my life, you know? And so they do ask us, we literally have an episode coming up called Lighten Up,
Lighten up.
connecting with the light of source and the light of consciousness, and to take those breaths to enable us that separation from our conditions and from our circumstances, in order to be able to see it from a new, lighter, higher, finer vibration. And that's why, you know, the church bells ring those beautiful tones. That's why we resonate with the beautiful music of the harp. That's why we resonate with the beautiful light language tones that are out there, because these are all high frequency, high vibe, you know, vibrations.
But I would say humor particularly, and I've always been a humorist. I've always adored humor. I'm one of those geeks that sits around and watches people stand-up comedy acts all the time on YouTube. So I love comedy, and I think this is really about vibratory matching. I like to believe that Source kind of said, I need a couple funny guys.
Yeah.
Because we all need to lighten up a little bit. We all need to remember how to laugh. And who might that be? You know, honestly, when we start channeling, really, the first thing I said to Source was, really, do you really need another voice? Really? Don't you have some really wonderful people out there doing some great work? Do you really need us? And they said yes, because you have a unique perspective. And I think humor is part of it.
Yeah, you know, and so those people that, you know, will really resonate with us on that level. And there are others that really resonate with, you know, all of the other soul search luminaries that are out there presenting their work. It's all of equal importance.
And isn't it amazing? We have an episode coming up called All About Connecting and Connections. And I have to tell you, as I'm sitting here being part of all of this, it's so amazing to see how all of this is connected. I hope you all see this, right? Everyone watching, do you see that the overlap of these messages and the connection between our individual stories? There is this beauty. And so this is what the Merkaba is to me. When you see the Merkaba and all the gazillion connections, when it's all fully, you know, filled out, and that to me makes me rejoice.
Yeah.
Because what confidence to know that there is a unified message of love that can carry all of us. Doesn't matter who we are. It can carry us all.
Well, you have some wonderful offerings. In fact, three that we're going to take a look at. I don't know if this is the right order, but start with something that you're doing live. And I assume that's going to
Oh, yeah. You know, yeah, we love the opportunity to channel live in front of groups, and for them to experience firsthand the energy and the vibration of the guides. And Tangier has this marvelous Soul Search Enlightenment Expo coming up in Scottsdale on January 13th and 14th. And we have the opportunity to do a live channeling, 6:30 p.m. ticketed event. Tangier, do you want to speak more on that?
Well, I mean, we're always excited to have you guys. It's at our Soul Search Enlightenment Expo in Scottsdale, January 13th and 14th. And, we have speakers all day, Saturday and Sunday, incredible practitioners. And of course, our evening event is with AJ and Tom. They did a beautiful evening event last time that people loved. And so we're really excited to bring you guys back and hearing what the messages from Source we'll all be receiving for the new year for 2024. And again, the energy is always powerful when you all are channeling, and the humor is always there. So that's what I love about it. So we're really looking forward to the live.
We always call these conversations with Source, and it's because the guides really emphasize we want to have a two-way conversation. I mean, they do pretty much an opening message for a part, but they're so interested in hearing the connection because it's all about that connection. So, so one of the things we love about doing these live events is it gives people a chance to sit and have a conversation with the guides.
So, of course, they're right now talking about the next one, which is the Scottsdale Enlightenment Expo. So any of you that are near Scottsdale, near Arizona, that's next weekend, January 13th and 14th. So very, very cool. All the live events that you do, as well as Soul Search TV. But wait, there's even more. Because AJ and Thomas are doing a lot of wonderful things. So this reminds me of Buzz Lightyear. Didn't he used to say to infinity and beyond? Right?
Yep.
So tell us about the Infinite Pathway.
The Infinite Pathway is the guides named it because they remind us that the journey is really a journey of self-realization, and it's beyond this incarnation. It is all of our lifetimes, and so it's infinite. Isn't that lovely? That's that circle again, right? There's no ending. It just continues the cycle. And so, so we really have this opportunity to sort of take the teachings of the guides. We've kind of been like librarians going through and looking at some of the topics that they've covered the most and that people have asked for the most. And we've put them into 12 episodes so that each episode covers a specific topic, and the messages from the guides, we actually play the recorded messages from the guides as well as we share some of their messages. So that's the show.
And then we have our trans-channeling event that we do online as well. And there you can actually get the chance to ask a question of the guides and feel the hug that they give, during and after the transmissions that they so lovingly share. And on our website, on our events page, you can click on that and you can find all of the links to those events. You can sign up for an annual subscription to come to our online conversations with Source. We do that every month on a Sunday, or you can buy an individual ticket, which is just $33 as well. So at the top there, you've got our services and our events, and you can click our upcoming events, and you can see all of the great things that we have on offer there. It takes a little second to load there. You can see everything that we're doing, and you can click on those links to get the tickets, and a number of them are free. And of course, we have all of the episodes there as they drop each week on Soul Search Television for you to read about them and anticipate those as well. So, golly, we're just so excited to be with you and a part of the community and the emerging of consciousness that's happening right now in all of these modalities, through channeling, through music, through light language, through intuition and psychic communication that's happening, and energy work. It's all relevant. It's all a part of the ensemble that's coming forward right now. It's all part of the package of our awakening world.
And if I can say just one more thing, I think this year, we've talked about the power of this year, and I think some of what we're going to see this year, this is the time to prepare. One of the reasons why the guides have practices is because we need some practicing. We need some preparation, because when it does get bumpy, how do I maintain my joy? How do I keep an even keel? How do I remember? How do I not react? And so there's this wonderful opportunity, I think, for us to all prepare for what's coming ahead. And every time we attend events like this, every time we sort of share in, every time we do practice our consciousness, then we're that little bit more prepared. The guides say that joy is the antidote to our difficult situations. Isn't that lovely? And what they mean by that is as we maintain a high vibration, regardless of whatever is happening in our lives, then we're able to move through.
Yes, to
And really,
transcend.
yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Wow. Beautiful. You guys, you're just two of the most wonderful people. And when you were talking about how when you were asked to be channels, are there all these other wonderful people? Well, there are. I mean, we've had many other wonderful channels, obviously, on this show, but
Yeah.
the two of you are very unique.
Oh, thank you. Well,
So I just want to say for a moment, I also love that you're a beautiful couple. And
thank
you're
you.
such a beautiful couple. And I love that, and it's that in itself is a wonderful message to see this beautiful couple that, and the way you give and take is very balanced. Neither one of you are, more dominant than the other, at least not on camera. I don't know what is off camera, but you guys are really, really beautiful. So I'm always delighted when you're on with our show.
Oh,
Thanks,
thank
Scott.
you for that blessing and that love. It really is about oneness. And one of the reasons why there's two of us here is because the guides really do want to demonstrate the power of the collective mind. When we do align, all of those divisions evaporate. And, when we go into our channeling, we share a telepathic one mind, and it really is something to experience.
Well, they're going to be part of the round table, which we really will get to at some point tonight. But wait, there's even more. So I'm going to turn it over to Tangela to introduce our guest.
Thank you, AJ and Tom. They are such a beautiful couple, Scott. I love
Okay.
them.
Oh my God. Yes.
And we also have a question that we get a lot for AJ and Tom. Actually, even yesterday, it came in for us. AJ and Tom, people ask us all the time, how did you begin? Do you actually channel simultaneously from the mind of divine mind? And how did that start occurring for both of you?
Great question.
Funny story. We both independently channeled entities. And so when we started our channeling practice together, or our meditation practice, actually, we naturally went into channeling and we wound up giving each other, taking turns. So AJ would channel the extraterrestrials and I would help facilitate it. And then we'd both be in meditation and then we'd switch and I'd channel what we called at the time the grandfathers. And we just do it that way, week after week after week. And then one night, AJ channeled the grandfathers and I channeled the extraterrestrials. And we were like, what's this about? And they kind of explained that, there's one universal mind. We're all together. We're all related. We're all connected. And so we want to introduce you to more. And we want to bring a whole collective through you. Now that we know you could do this. And so that's sort of how that all began.
And, it was really interesting because they said, although we have very distinct vibrations and very distinct energies, which is how you know us, which is how you know your avatars, which is how you know how you're dealing with an ascended master as opposed to an archangel, for example, or, your relative that's passed on as opposed to an elemental, for example. But they all each have distinct energies. But they said, there's no separation up here. We all know each other. And it was interesting because when we asked the question to the native elders, like, how come I'm channeling the native elders now and Tom's channeling the extraterrestrial? And the native elders said with kind of a wink and a nod, well, they're our ancestors. Who do you think we learned from? And so I thought that was just a delightful answer that, knowledge is universal. It's all out there. like the tree of life behind us, reaching up into the sky and the universe, and then the roots down into Mother Earth and Gaia. I mean, we can learn so much from Gaia just as much, as we can from the heavens.
Skill mastery, though, I have to say, is usually jumping off a cliff, right? There's a lot of risk taking. And there was this point when we sort of went with the guides and said, are we supposed to do this simultaneously? We're getting this sense, we literally could feel the energy move from one of us to the other. We'd feel it shift. We'd sort of feel this message that says his turn. And we don't always channel the same entity, but it is always that I know in my head, and this was one of the indications that said to do this, I knew in my head I had a word and he would channel it. And we'd find that that was happening quite often. And so we really asked the guides to help us and to teach us. And then we just had to jump off the cliff and try it. And luckily, there's enough patience with the guides that they've continued to work with us and help us strengthen some of those connections. We've learned what we have to do together to maintain that unified mind. And it was interesting, Scott, you said think about us as a couple. There is, and that I just want to say, I would have asked a much more personal question than Gia, and I just want to say that.
We might still get there.
This time.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, it is interesting because you have to blend energies as a couple. And so it's been interesting to see how it's changed our relationship. And not that we're sitting around going, I know what he's doing right now, or I know what he's thinking. It's really much more how important it is for us to stay on the same plane, right? We put a vow in our wedding that I really believe in, and it came from the guides. And the vow was, I vow to keep my vibrations as high as possible for you. Because the reality is I can't raise his vibration. I can only raise mine. And so as we both kind of make that commitment, oh, AJ's having a tough day, I'll go to the temple. I'll raise my vibration. And that's been the best, way to keep us connected.
Beautiful. Thank you, guys.
We have a great question from Omashar. Scott, he's asking, well, he's directing it for AJ and Tom, but I'd love to hear Asil or Ashita also comment on this, because this is a question that comes up a lot. How do you both discern that your messages are coming through purely and clearly and not being colored by your lower vibrational mind?
Yeah, it takes time. And I would say that and I think everybody probably will say the same thing, that there's a mastery of concentration that you have to work through. And it's really about intentionality. I would say that the hardest challenge when I started channeling was to say, am I just making this up? And I think most of the people that we work with who are developing as channels say the same thing. And it really is a matter of concentrating. It's one of the reasons why trance channeling is used, because it just clears everything out. It just takes you out of all of that so that you can be where you are. It's actually quite a lovely aid.
And so it is in your practices. And one of those practices that you'll see is that we have these shawls on. And these are high vibrational shawls that we wear that signify that we are in the mode of the channeling. We have invited the guides in. So that's, one aspect of it for sure. And the other is just empirically, we record all of the channeling sessions that we do. And for our private clients, we actually send them a transcript of the session so that they don't have to take notes and they've got that to look back on. But, when I look back on that, clearly the words and the information is not something I could put together. I'm not that smart,
I feel that way all the time.
Yeah, and it really is remarkable. And what else is remarkable is that as we're reading the transcript, you can't tell whether Tom said it or AJ said it. It's this seamless train of thought and vibration. And that sometimes I have to pinch myself on that. I'm like, wow, that is incredible.
For any and or all presenters, how do you peer support for each other and with each other? And how do you co-create and collaborate with sentient beings in community? And how do you see those connections helping transforming the current quagmire?
They're so critical. So, the guides often say that all of you, all of us are sentinels because we're standing ahead of the rest of the population. That means we do that together. And so those antiquated norms and you see it at fairs, right? This is why we love Soul Search Fair, because I don't see it there where people are like, my business, your business, who's getting the client, who's not. Forget that. That's not what any of this is about. This is really so my support for my beloved brothers and sisters tonight is because we're all singing the same song. And it's essential that we all sing the same song. And so the more I cheer you on, the better we all accomplish our mission. So,
but something, more than that is that, this is part of developing your practice. I really benefit from Reiki. I really benefit from Om Asha's music, the high vibration of music and sound baths, for example. And as we come into this awareness, we'll come into these understandings that these are the essential things that we need. We don't need to be turning on the 6 o'clock news. We need to be ringing a gong and clearing our energy from the day. You know what I mean?
And what a great thing to think about what the rest of my colleagues are doing and the work that they're doing as a way to help inspire my own.
Yes.
We really do. This is what encouragement is in my mind.
Yes.
And so that we applaud one another rather than think at all about competition. And I have to say, that's also in partnership with all the spiritual beings. Right. So that's part of that partnership. There's no competition there either.
Yeah, the Ascended Masters doesn't have the exclusive on universal knowledge. There's no separation. And so the more we can come to that oneness understanding together with Gaia, Mother Earth, and our animals, which are all communicating to us and all sharing with us and all ascending in consciousness with us at this time. It's what it's all about.
Yeah.
I want to riff on that for a moment too, and then we need to move forward.
Yeah.
And that is when the pandemic hit, I really saw how so many different spiritually oriented communities came together. It was really beautiful to watch. And, there's a lot of crazy things going on in politics and so much division between Republican and Democrat and mask versus no mask and all that, vax or no vax. But in our spiritual communities and the people that you see on the Awakening World, the Evolutionary Leaders Network, Soul Search, Unity Earth, all these different people, there was like, hey, whatever is your truth. And it was like a shift of the higher vibration people, the ones you see on this show, were like inclusive and accepting and understanding, and we're all collaborating and supporting each other. And it was a big shift from that competitive world, because I grew up in the entertainment industry in LA, which is very competitive, to the world that we're all sharing and that you're describing right now. And look at how we all are supporting each other even tonight, right? It's very, very beautiful.